So greetings once again, everybody, and welcome. Great to be with you this morning. So in this moment, we are angry. We are afraid. We are in a hurry. Could you move along, please, because I've got stuff to do. There's stuff going on. I was teased unmercifully one time by a congregation member because I used the word stuff, and I don't have a better word. So to cover everything that you see on the news, everything that's going on, we just call it, being pulpit worthy, we just call it stuff going on. But how important it is to recognize that the stuff that we see on the news is not everything. There are amazing things happening. There are healings happening. There are reunitings happening. There is amazing good and amazing gentleness happening. And even though sometimes that other stuff is in our faces, how important it is for us to recognize that that's not all there is. There's always the opportunity to think differently, to be more gentle, to recognize the truth of our being. So I'm talking this morning about giant gentleness. And I would suggest that's toward ourselves, and we'll talk more about that, toward others, and we'll talk more about that. Toward ourselves, toward our tribe, because I can maybe be more gentle with people who think like me, believe like me, act like me, talk like me, not necessarily look like me, but my tribe. But there's not much challenge to that. Can we be gentle with people who think differently, believe differently, act differently? And can we be gentle toward the earth? As you may know, last Sunday was Earth Day. Do we put our plastic bottles in a recycle bin and take them out and deal with them the way we might? Or do they just all go in the trash? And just little things that we can do to allow ourselves to be a little more gentle with this planet, because it's, at least for now, it's all we've got. So can we offer that gentleness as well? And can we do that toward ourselves, toward our tribe, and toward others without beating one another up with the Science of Mind textbook? Do we do that? Well, Jerry, for the love of God. And yeah. And if you've heard me speak before, you might remember that when I have that thought, there is judgment right behind it. There's frustration right behind it. There's not gentleness right behind it. So there's the opportunity for me to say, remembering my absolute favorite line from Course in Miracles, I could see peace instead of this. In every situation, I could see gentleness instead of this. The loving kindness, even though we don't see it on the evening news, even though we don't read it in our news feed, wherever that comes from, it doesn't necessarily make the top 20 headlines, but it's always there. It's always there. And the opportunity is for us sometimes to look for it. As you may know, CSL's theme for 2024 is Grand Rising, and I would suggest that the rising for us is to stay in this place, and sometimes we need to return to this place of gentleness. So I'm going to talk much more about what that means. There's a Buddhist practice that I'm probably not going to pronounce properly, Maitri, I think. It is defined as benevolence, loving kindness, to feel compassion, kindness, goodwill, and love toward all beings equally. The beings who you absolutely agree with, and yes, and that makes perfect sense, and the beings that you just so don't agree with. Recognizing if I'm the beloved, then they must be too. I know, right? That sometimes that's a very bitter pill to swallow. But if I'm the beloved, they must be too. And so what gift are you, and we'll talk more about this, what gift are you bringing me into this relationship that perhaps we could sit down and talk about and come to a happy medium, or at the very least just agree to disagree and allow that to be okay as well. So giant gentleness. And I don't know about you, but I recently have gotten into animated movies. It's just so weird. We just never, my late husband and I, we just never watched really much, Bugs Bunny, Roadrunner, that sort of thing, but never any current stuff, and not much current Disney stuff. And as some of you know, my beloved is crazy nuts insane about Disney. And while I'm not there yet, I am fairly close. And so admittedly on Friday, so the thing at Disneyland and Disney World are these popcorn buckets. So they take a Disney character and create a plastic model, and with a little space to put your popcorn box, and it becomes a popcorn bucket. And so these people, these crazy people, because they're doing the Pixar, which is the theater that did Monsters, Inc. and Toy Story and a lot of the big animated movies. So from now until August, I think, is Pixar Festival at Disneyland. So Friday was the first day of the festival and the release of 4 new popcorn buckets. So one is a pickup truck from Pizza Planet, which is one of the restaurants in Tomorrowland. It's really cute, looks like a truck. There is Doug, D-U-G, who is the dog from the movie Up. There's a squiggly dog, and then a couple of, I think 3 popcorn buckets, and then some other stuff as well. So these crazy people get up at all hours of the night and morning to drive to Anaheim to stand in line to wait for these popcorn buckets. I just stood in line for about an hour and a half. It's just, I don't know. My inner child is just, and craziness. Anyway, so giant gentleness. So there's a new movie coming out next month, and I don't think it's Disney. I think it's somebody else. But the name of the movie is If. And IF stands for Imaginary Friends. And so the premise of the movie is Ryan Reynolds, who you see in his hunkiness there, with his back to us. I know, right? It is what it is. Is there talking with, and they've not named this purple monster. I've been looking, and I haven't found his name yet, but how cute is he? And so the premise of the movie is these imaginary friends that we've had, and then we mature and grow up and become adults, but the imaginary friends are still out there. What happens to them? So the story is about these imaginary friends that are hanging out saying, but you forgot about us. So I'm really curious. I think it's going to be cute. And all the while, so the human characters, all the while, in one of the articles I read about it, said the human characters are all about more joy and more wonder in their lives and not being quite so serious. Can we not be quite so serious? So adult, so mature, so silly. And just be a little more gentle with ourselves. There is always the opportunity to treat ourselves. I got to see this movie. There's always the opportunity to treat ourselves with a little more gentleness. And I found this. I don't know if you're familiar with Elephant Journal, but it's an online. They have a website and they do a weekly email blast, and they've just had some amazing things. And one of the things that I found talks about gentleness, giant gentleness, my words, not theirs, toward ourselves. You deserve your own love exactly as you are right now. If we keep the phrase unconditional friendliness consistently in mind, imagine how our self-talk would change, how our feelings of worthiness, self-respect, and radical self-acceptance would skyrocket. Imagine responding to yourself with friendliness as a first response. Imagine having the support of a friend always within, always having your back, always ready to reassure, always armed with the force of friendliness to raise your spirits and recharge your energy. What if we could be our own best friends? Because I don't know about you, but this is what I do know about you. This is pretty much it, right? This is what we're I was going to say stuck with, but this is what we're blessed with for this 80 or 90 or 100 or 110 or 120 years that we're going to be here. So maybe we should make friends and cooperate with one another a little more fully. Just a thought. Because very often we can be, and I don't know about you again, but my experience is I can be my worst critic. You know, you did something, well, you did the best you could, and I honor you for that. But I'm the stupidest thing on feet. So what if we could treat ourselves with the same love and compassion that we offer to other people? This, I know you'll agree with me, this thing called life is just the most amazing thing, and wonderful things happen. And wonderful, all one word. And wonderful, wonder dash full, as in I wonder how in the world this happened. I wonder how in the world this came into my life. Because we like to say, all is well and everything's in divine order and all the rest of that, and we'll talk more about that. But it is. But the truth is we go through stuff. There's that word again. But we do. Can we treat ourselves with that kindness and with that gentleness that we would offer to somebody else? We're going to talk about that in my workshop after the service this morning, and I hope you're planning to stay with me for that. There's also giant gentleness toward others. So, and I was thinking about this because I have an opinion on everything, as many of us do. Most of the time, thankfully, I do not express my opinion unless I'm asked. Well, 53 2/3% of the time. But is this any of my business? Is this whatever you're doing, whatever you're saying, whatever you're thinking, is this any of my business? Or can I offer giant gentleness and be quiet? Why am I reacting this way? I've recently gotten into being more aware of why I'm angry or hurt or frustrated or whatever, and asking, what's going on here? What button is this pushing that's causing me to react this way? And is there a different way to look at this? So, is this any of my business? Why am I reacting this way? And again, quoting Course in Miracles, is there a way that I can see peace, experience peace, instead of this? I love the concept of unconditional friendliness. And you might remember, this isn't real easy to read, but remember this is the writing by the Sufi mystic poet Rumi about the guest house. And the premise of it is every day these guests appear at our door. And it's joy and wonder and passion and excitement and all the rest of that. And it's cranky and impatient and judgmental and all of those things that make up this being that is the guest house. And so the premise in the writing is, and I apologize, that's not easier to read, but the premise of the writing is to invite them all in. Come on in. Let's figure out why I'm excited about this. That we can figure out pretty easily. But why am I frustrated about this? Why am I angry about this? Why am I hurt about this? And is there a different way to look at whatever's going on? Meet them at the door laughing. With radical acceptance. Okay, so this situation has come into my life. What do I believe about it? What do I feel about it? And is there a way to change my feelings and my beliefs into one that feels better? So often, and I know you'll agree with me, so often in this life, we go through changes. And it might be a job situation. It might be a relationship change. It might be a death or a passing. It might be this hair that didn't used to be this color. And over time, not all of a sudden, but over time, it's become a different color. Or I used to be able to do whatever, and maybe now I can't do those things. So, is there a way for us to acknowledge and allow and accept and ultimately embrace whatever that change is? And I would suggest that yes, there is. So that's the premise of the workshop. Change is good. You start. Navigating the inevitable. Because nature around us changes, our physical bodies change, our relationships change, whether we want to admit it or not. This thing called life is all about change. So we'll start about 15 minutes after the end of the service. We'll go for about an hour and a half, and I would love it if you can to stay with me. This is a brand new baby workshop. First ever. I am honored to be able to give to my family at Ohm. There's a $20 suggested love offering, and all the proceeds go to Ohm. So would love it if you would stay with me for this. Should be really good discussion. So you might have heard the expressions, and you might have heard me talk about it before. Toxic positivity and spiritual bypass. Somebody said it's also known as avoidance in holy drag. So, and this really came home for me after my husband died 5 years ago, because I had a lot of trouble allowing myself to feel the grief and the loss and the mourning and the anger and all of those bad emotions. Because I'm a New Thought minister, and everything is in divine order, and everything is as it should be, and it's all good, and he's in a better place, and all of those things, that we say to ourselves, especially when somebody makes their transition, because we don't even use the word died. And I really went through some inner struggle about allowing myself to feel what I feel. because change is wonderful and change is heartbreaking. And how important it is for us to allow ourselves to experience that wholeheartedly so that we can get to the other side, rather than the toxic positivity and the spiritual bypass. Sometimes change is, we asked for that. So I'm going to a new job. I'm going to a new relationship. I'm going to a new situation. But there can still be fear and regret about what we're leaving and about what happened before. In the Bible, and if you've spent any time in the Bible, you might remember the term, it came to pass. 453 times. The good news is I did not sit and count them. Somebody else did it for me. 453 times in the Bible, the story starts out with, and it came to pass. Because it did. Whatever it is, came to pass. The wonderful times, you're in Hawaii. You're on a chaise lounge, enjoying an adult beverage, perhaps. And then at some point, sadly, you have to get on a plane. Of course, you came back to San Diego and not Cleveland, so I mean, it could have been worse, right? But still, our wonderful times came to pass. Our heartbreaking times came to pass. And so the opportunity, because I don't like the word challenge, the opportunity is for us to allow that, to experience that, to feel the feelings attached to that, whatever that is, so that we can move forward. So much, pretty much everything came to pass. Our kids, if you have children, remember when and Sadie's going to be graduating from high school here in a few minutes, right? Yes. My oldest granddaughter is Sadie, and she's in high school, so I'll be going to Oregon in a couple of years for Sadie's high school graduation, and I have no idea how these kids grow up because we stay the same age, right? Yes. So how do we navigate this change? So we'll be talking about that this afternoon. We do it by putting down the baseball bat, by putting down the Science of Mind textbook and not beat ourselves up with it, and instead recognize that, this thing called life is bizarre. It's weird. It's goofy. It's all those things. And it's amazing, but we allow ourselves to treat ourselves with that gentleness to be able to move through whatever it is and forward into the next chapter in our lives. And it came to pass. Yeah, we talked about that. So I love this quote from Eric Butterworth. This challenge did not come to stay. It came to pass. No matter how real or substantial it seemed to be, it would pass away, just as every other undesirable situation before it had done. It had come to bring me something I needed for my own growth, but now it would pass on to oblivion. Ever looked back at a situation, I mean the most hellish of the most hellish, and it might be years later, you look back and say, well, but the good that came from that, it would not have been my first choice, but the good that came from that was. And if we recognize that, and I'm quoting my friend Edwin Gaines, that God doesn't have grandchildren, So each person has their own relationship with spirit and with life. So if they weren't here for 90 or 100 or 110 years, that was their path. And our relationship changed, but our relationship didn't end, because where is our relationship? In our minds and in our hearts. So the opportunity again is to recognize it's not to minimize, but our relationship changed. And so now they're always in my heart and in my mind, just not physically here with me. So it's all about this giant gentleness offered to ourselves, offered to others, and offered to the world. And that's how, so the topic for this morning that was advertised had to do with gentle cosmicness and cosmic something something, and I would suggest that the cosmic has nothing to do with it, because we're going to sing at the end of the service, "Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me." The gentleness in the world begins within me. Because as I share that with myself and offer that to myself, then I can share that gift, and you share that gift, and you share that gift, and that's how we share that gentleness. Because life is amazing, and then it's awful, and then it's amazing again. And in between the amazing and awful is ordinary and mundane and routine. Breathe in the amazing, hold on through the awful, and relax and exhale during the ordinary. Right? Yes. That's just living heartbreaking, soul-healing, amazing, awful, ordinary life. And it's breathtakingly beautiful. So with that in mind, I'd like to close with a song, and Martin's going to play this for us on YouTube. This is "Gentle with Myself" by Karen Drucker. So I invite you to take a deep breath and just relax where you are. And get a Kleenex box close by if you need it.
I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with my heart. And I will hold my heart like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with my heart. And I will hold my heart like a newborn baby child. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. myself like a newborn baby child. I will be easy on myself. I will be easy on myself. And I love myself like a baby child. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. Now I know I am gentle with myself. I am gentle with myself. And I hold myself like a newborn baby child. I am gentle with myself. I am gentle with myself. And I hold myself like a newborn baby child. And I rock myself like a baby child. And I hold myself like a baby child. And I love myself like a newborn baby child.
So staying in this consciousness of oneness, of love, of giant gentleness, we allow ourselves to move forward this week coming from that place of unconditional friendliness, most especially toward ourselves, recognizing that we're always doing the best we can, recognizing that everybody else is too. So we come from that place of love, and it changes the world. For this community, for our time together, for this day, we give great thanks. And together we say, and so it is.